Since DNA identification has become widely available, a number of unidentified decedents have rediscovered their identities even decades after their bodies were discovered. In some of the cases I've researched, the murderer has been identified or come forward as a direct result of the deceased being named. However, there must be someone to compare that DNA to, someone out there looking for the missing loved one. In Houston, Texas, in 1985, 2 people were found murdered in a vacant store. The man was identified as Thomas Rodriguez. The woman has yet to be named. The murders have never been solved. Houston is the city in Texas with the largest population and the 4th most populated city in the United States, with an estimated population exceeding 2 million in 2016, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. NeighborhoodScout.com gives Houston a crime index of 5 out of 100, with 100 being the safest. It is safer than only 5% of U.S. cities. It further gives a statistic of 22,184 violent crimes annually. Today, at least, the area of 2714 Airline Drive is an area with an only moderate crime rate, neither the safest nor the most dangerous in that vast metropolitan area. While I can't find any information on what the crime rate was like in that area on August 12, 1985, I do know 2714 Airline was an unoccupied shop at the time, and that day, 2 dead bodies were found within. They were a male and a female, and both had been murdered within hours of the discovery. Authorities do not know how or why they came to be within the abandoned storefront, nor do they know who committed the homicides. I could find no mention of how the 2 victims were killed, and very few details on the man who was later identified as Thomas Rodriguez. Though I searched the Houston Chronicle, the city's largest newspaper, from the date of discovery through the end of 1985, I found absolutely no mention of the double homicide. The archives for other newspapers were not available to be searched during that year. So though the male victim has been identified, I do not know when or by whom, and Thomas Rodriguez is a very common name, particularly in the Southwest. The female victim to this day is known only as the Harris County Jane Doe, 1985. The victim, seen here in reconstructions, is believed to have been Hispanic or Latina. She had dark brown hair which had some wave and was 15 inches or about 38 centimeters in length, falling around or just below her shoulders based on reconstructions. She had brown eyes. Her height was 5 foot 1 inches or 155 centimeters, and she weighed 129 pounds or 59 kilograms. Following is a post-mortem facial picture of the victim for purposes of identification. If you are uncomfortable viewing such an image, please avert your eyes or scroll to the comments until you hear me begin speaking again. Though I've compiled as much information as I can find on the 1985 Harris County Jane Doe, there are some inconsistencies in the victim's age. According to the National Unidentified Persons Data System, her age at death is speculated to be between 20 and 35. The Texas Missing Persons Clearinghouse, however, suggests that she was between 16 and 20 when she died. Jane Doe was discovered wearing a red and white striped tank top, jeans, white socks with red bands, and gray and blue athletic shoes, though no sizes or brands are recorded in any of the public access records. Considering one speculation is that she was an illegal immigrant from Mexico, the origin of her clothing could be relevant in that regard, but without more information, there's little to be learned. She was wearing fairly distinctive jewelry, however, shown in this image. She had double-pierced ears and wore 2 pairs of earrings with beads and shells. Additionally, she wore a necklace with a round pendant that had an arrowhead and 3 turquoise shells on it. Whether the lighter was found in Jane Doe's possession or is only present to provide a scale is unclear. The Harris County Jane Doe had several distinguishing marks. She had a tattoo of the letter V on her upper left arm and scars on her left wrist and both arms. There was a 5/8 of an inch, roughly 1.6 centimeter, oblique scar in the middle of her left hand. She had a scar on her forehead as well, a slightly oblique scar 1/2 inch or 1.27 centimeters in length that was just to the right of the midline. Particularly of note, however, was a 5.5 inch, just under 14 centimeter, surgical scar from the removal of her gallbladder, which would have been in the upper right quadrant of her abdomen. DNA, fingerprints, and dental records are all available for this unidentified homicide victim, but there has, at the time of this airing, not yet been a hit. Her teeth were reportedly in fair condition, though tooth 6, the upper right cuspid, was displaced laterally, and though no explanation for their absences were given in the records, her third molars or wisdom teeth were not present. If the Texas Missing Persons Clearinghouse has access to information that suggests the third molars had not yet emerged, that could explain why they give her age as younger, while other missing persons databases take the absence of those molars to mean that they have been removed and that she is, therefore, older. But without an explanation for the absence of the missing third molars, we can really only speculate about this young woman's age. This can still be solved. This woman can be identified, closure brought to her family, and the killer of both her and Thomas Rodriguez brought to justice. In 2005, a volunteer for the Doe Network matched a name, Jacqueline Ann Wunsch, to a murder victim found in 1999. Her killer pled guilty in 2007. Angelica Castillo, age 4, was a Jane Doe known as Baby Hope for 22 years until DNA confirmed her identity. After Castillo's identity was revealed, her cousin, who had been 30 at the time of her death, was investigated by police and confessed to the murder. Michelle Garvey went missing in June 1982 and was also murdered in Harris County and remained a Harris County Jane Doe for 32 years, until, on the suggestion of amateur online sleuth Polly Penwell, the Jane Doe's DNA was compared to a sample taken from Garvey's brother. While her murderer has yet to be identified, she has at least been given her name, and her family now knows what happened to her. It isn't the answer they would have wanted, but they know that not contacting them after all this time wasn't her choice. This Harris County Jane Doe was found the victim of homicide in 1985 and was between the ages of 16 and 35. She was Hispanic, with brown hair and eyes. Also being shown on screen is the phone number for one of the agencies responsible for investigating this case, the Texas Missing Persons Clearinghouse. If you have any information to offer regarding this unidentified woman or the double homicide committed at 2714 Airline Drive, Houston, Texas, on August 12, 1985, please reach out to them or any of the agencies listed in the description below. Identification of the victim is one step in identifying the culprit and making sure that that person or persons face justice. Identification of the victim will tell her family, at the very least, where she is. Please remember in your comments that these are real stories about real people and treat them with the respect that they and their families, whoever they are, deserve. If you have any information to offer regarding this case, the contact details can also be found in the description below. Someone out there knows the truth. I only hope that someday they come forward. Thank you and good night.